Okay. So do you have, oh gosh, boom. So do you have the power? Okay, you've got the power? Who says you got the power? What was that? I do. So you say you got the power, yes? Okay, you know, I see a lot of people who don't seem to have the power. Have you been looking around lately? I see a lot of people who don't know they have the power. So that's why when I ask you, do you have the power? I get it, Lynn Wask has the power. It's right here. If you need it, come get it. If you think you have the power, then your life better be showing me that you got the power. Remember those commercials? Where's the beef? It's kind of like that. So, I am at the point in my life where I need proof. I want proof. I deserve proof in my life. Don't you? Yeah. Don't you deserve proof that you are who you say you are? Yeah. Don't you deserve proof that you can get up and sing this? Well, Kelly can get up and sing this song. Don't you deserve proof to be dancing along to that song and know it? I think we deserve proof. And when I say prove it, when I say I'm saying prove it to me, something always comes along for me. Whenever I ask the universe to prove it, something always comes along for me and says, okay, how about this? Does this work for you? This will prove it. And that works both ways. It certainly proves it to me, too, when I'm thinking things I shouldn't be thinking. You ever have that happen? And something shows up and they're like, here, now we've proved exactly what you were just thinking. You want to think about that in your mind? Here, have some of it. That's how it works. On both sides of the equation. So, I have one of those things for you today. Not that one. I have a good one, actually. I have a good one. Today is day 27 of CPR, Core Prosperity Relief. It has been an amazing 27 days for me. And for many people all around the world, I can say now, because of what I'm reading. But yesterday was day 26, and yesterday I asked everyone in the program to spend the entire day asking themselves, who am I? The whole day. Who am I? And so I did. I spent the whole day saying, who am I? And the answer needed to be, I am God. I am God. Except when the answer wasn't that. And then I needed to pay attention to that. So who am I? Who am I is a very disarming question. Because many of us will answer that question, who am I, in a way that reflects our conditions. Right? I am a minister. I am a father. I am a mother. I'm not a mother. I'm a father. I'm a mother. I'm a lot of things. I'm all these things, and so are you when I say, who am I? But that's not really what I'm after. I loved that yesterday one of the bloggers wrote, she was talking about being conditional as God. And she said, I am God, but for God's sake, don't act like God, because people don't like that. Now just think about that. I'm afraid to act like God because someone may be offended. And many of the bloggers have mentioned that. I'm afraid to be too successful because people get annoyed around successful people. I don't know who you're hanging out with, but stop hanging out with those people. Hang out with successful people. That's how it works. So what I also figured out was that if I am God, and I am, then on Sundays, every single minister around the world is talking about themselves. That's all I ever do. I show up here and I talk about myself. Because if I'm talking about, well, that's true anyway, but that's because I'm God. And I get to talk about myself because I'm God, and so are you. So in the lyrics it says, where is the love? Show me the love. And I love that, the story. So show me the love. So here's the story I have for you today. And I had it at the beginning of the week. And I've lived with this all week. And it's a beautiful story. I have a friend. Who I am just so, so proud of. When I hear this, show me the love. Where is the love? Show me the love. I can look at this woman, and that's what I see. I see love. I see expanded consciousness. I see someone who is understood that giving is receiving, and that's the same thing. She was an actress. I've directed her many times. She was an actress here in Los Angeles, and she was great at it. Really talented actress. Vibrant, sexy, beautiful, funny. All those things that you need to succeed as an actress. But after a while of being here, she decided that she was missing something. Do you ever have one of those moments where you just go, what is missing? What am I missing? What's missing from my life? Even though I think I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, what's missing? So she decided to leave LA and go become a nurse. And, and she would say, in an age when most women are not contemplating that kind of a career choice or that kind of an investment of time, she went off and became a nurse. So she just finished. She just graduated, becoming a nurse. And for a few months this year, she went to Ghana. She flew to Ghana, had to live in a hut with a bunch of other people, to a very poor, poor village, so that she could be part of the team that saw to their medical needs. Now, Ghana is in West Africa. I know most of you know that, right off the Ivory Coast. And this is something I didn't know. 27% of the population in Ghana live on less than $1.25 a day. Less than $1.25 a day. Now, I don't tell you this so that you can feel sorry for these people, because I would never add my consciousness of sorrow or sadness to a people that needs my consciousness of love, my consciousness of prosperity. I tell you that to put things into perspective. And the perspective is that you and I have the opportunity here today to bring our consciousness in alignment with a global consciousness, not just a consciousness of Hollywood or a consciousness of Los Angeles or even the United States. There is just so much more to know out there. And, she called me, she sent me an email once, and the email was a very lengthy email from Ghana. And she said things in that email, and she saw things in Ghana that most of us will never see in person. And when she described these things to me, I have to be very honest, I was shattered. I know that things go on around the world that are atrocious. But when someone actually brings it to me and shows it to me and writes it out so that I have a personal realization of it, do you know what my reaction to that was? While I was a bit taken aback, my first reaction was, I want to go there. Not, I don't want to look at this stuff. It was, I want to go there. I want to see this. I want to see the child who doesn't have any food. I want to go there. I want to hug that child. I want to bring food to that child. I want to be part of what changes this incredible universe we live in. I don't just want to be the man who sits in Studio City at 8 o'clock every morning talking about how everything is possible for us, and not also know that there are people that don't know that. And I want to go there and tell them that and show them that and bring them that. Because this world that we live in right now is a global world, and it's up to us to get a global consciousness going. And that's really what today is all about. When Kelly sings, we've got the power of love, the power of love means that we're powerful in that we are one with everything. Everything. And when I ask myself, who am I? I am God. Okay, I know that. But so is that child in Ghana. And that's the consciousness that will heal the world. And it starts right here. It starts with my consciousness. So I want to show you, this little thing came in the mail to me last week, and it's from Ghana. Wendy had it for months, and she said, I forgot to send it to you. Here it is, and it's from Ghana. And each panel says something different. And when you come to my home, if you ever come to my home, this will be on my front door, which is where Kevin finally put it when we tried every wall possible in the house. It was everywhere in our house. And finally I said, it just doesn't seem to fit anywhere beautifully. So how are we going to put this? Because it has to go somewhere. And he put it on the front door. We were like, of course, the front door. Where you enter, here's what you enter. So each one of these panels say something different. But the top panel is the most important panel because it's the highest panel. It's the one consciousness, and everything evolves from it. And what this top panel says, and Wendy actually went and asked the people who made them what they said. And this says, the top panel says, there is nothing except God. There is nothing except God. And I didn't even try this to see if this would still stay here. Probably won't. So I will, there you go. I'll look at there is nothing except God. Perfect. So, there is nothing except God. Now, all the woman said to Wendy, though, was, and she said, please, James, if you tell the story, use the accent. The woman said, except God. And Wendy was like, oh, I love that. Accept God. She goes, no, accept God. And Wendy's like, accept God. She goes, no, accept God. And Wendy's like, okay, what is it? Accept God. I'm supposed to accept God? She goes, no, nothing except God. And Wendy said she got very emotional at that point. Yes, there is nothing except God. The title of my talk today is Nothing Except God. If God is all there is, then there is nothing except God. For the last few days in CPR, we've been talking about how many of us believe that there are conditions in our lives that are devoid of the God experience. Does anyone, I'm not even going to ask you, I'm going to just know that most of us have gone through our life thinking there are certain things that don't really radiate when we think God. And I'm here to tell you today, we need to get over that. We need to get over the concept that there are conditions in our lives that are separate from God. Because as soon as we do, as soon as we actually live the understanding that there is nothing except God, then we take that consciousness everywhere we go. That's the consciousness I want to take to Ghana. That's the consciousness I want to take to Malawi when we go. That's the consciousness I want to take all over the world, because I want to go all over the world and bring this message all over the world. Because here's the deal. This woman in Ghana who made this panel, she believes that there is nothing except God. And her conditions, I would just bet, her conditions are a little bit different than my conditions. And when Wendy describes to me all the things that she experienced over there and how sick she was being there and trying to eat and getting sick and yet still having to work, and she said she's never been so thin in her entire life. She said, who knew that was the way? She has a great sense of humor. If those people can make these signs and say nothing except God, what do you have in your life that you might want to rethink as life-shattering? Just the little things. And I'm not trying to put down anyone's conditions. I'm not. But I am hoping to know, wanting to know, that everyone can leave here today with just a better perspective and understanding that their life is a lot better than they thought. Mother Teresa wrote, when you have nothing but God, you have more than enough to start over. So today is kind of like a call to start over. Again, today in this moment in your life. Start over. Start over with nothing but God. I mean, what else is there in your life other than God? And I am asking that seriously. What else is there other than God in your life? Just bring them forward. Bring it forward. If you have an idea of what shows up, what is in your life that doesn't feel like God. It's not unlike what Reverend Barbara said. It's not that there's a gift in everything. Yes, there is. But there's God in everything. There's God in everything. Every experience. I remember when I was driving to Asilomar, and I was just driving along, singing to somebody, and I must have been going 90 up the 5. And this police officer pulled me over. And there I am, and he's like, where are you going in such a rush? And I said, to a spiritual retreat. And he just looked at me. I bet no one ever said that to him when he asked that question. And he went, oh. He's like, you know how fast you're going? I went, as soon as your siren went on, I looked. I said, I was going like 90. He went, I remember him going, I thought you were going like 85. I said, no, it was 90. And he was like, give me your stuff. So I gave him my registration and everything, and he went back to his and I'm just sitting there going, now I am really going to miss the opening of Asilomar. I am just not, wow. And so he comes back, and he hands me my stuff, and he says, and he doesn't hand me a ticket. Sorry, Barbara, I didn't get a ticket. He doesn't have consciousness. He doesn't have... I couldn't resist. Oh, I could not resist that. I'm so sorry. So, oh no, you didn't. So she'll tell me about that later. So he hands me my stuff back and he says, do you know that you could kill yourself? Do you know you could die driving like that? Do you know you could kill other people driving like that? I said, I do. He said, not a lot of people think this, but I'm really out here to make sure people stay safe. He said, so could you promise me that as you continue driving to your spiritual retreat, that you will stay safe? And I said, yes, I will. He says, all right, then go. And I didn't get a ticket. And I was like, unbelievable. Same message, though. Slow down. Where are you running to? You know, I went to see my doctor this week. I go to see the cancer doctors every so many months while I'm on that rotation. They all landed on the same week. They all landed on this week. And every doctor I went to, they were like, you are like so abnormal. Look at your throat, looks like nothing ever happened to it, and you sound like nothing ever happened to it. I was like, I get it. And they were all like, come back in a year, everything's fine, everything's absolutely fine. But when I went to see Dr. David Alessi, who many of you here go to, who was my main doctor, my main throat doctor, he asked me how my life was, and I said, good. He said, how's your church? And I said, great. He said, I just came back from Bali. He said, you need to go to Bali. Now, I've already decided to go here. Right? I'm going to Ghana. I'm going to Malawi. He said, you need to go to Bali. I was like, why? He said, because, when I went to Bali, he said, God was everywhere. Now, David is not necessarily religious, I don't think, but he said, when I went to Bali, God was everywhere. He said, and do you know that in every home in Bali, there's a church? In the Hindu faith, every house must be a church. Every home must be a church. He said, so you can't go anywhere without walking into a church. He said, that's the concept of being Hindu. That's the concept of this entire country. He said, so everywhere I went, it was a church. And we're always like going, don't call this a church. Don't call this a church. If I just made fun of you, I'm sorry. But maybe we should get over that. Maybe we should start understanding that church isn't that thing that ruined us as children. Maybe we should actually start thinking church is everything. And that everywhere we go is sacred. Everywhere we go is sacred. If a woman living in a remote village of Africa, living on less than $1.25 a day, in a country that is economically challenged, if that woman can make this panel, then I think I should be able to look around and see nothing except God. What do you think? And just maybe, if we all get good at doing this, we will start connecting the dots between all of the churches. And there won't be such a polarizing effect of all the different religions. And we'll start being the spiritual people that we are. And we actually will live in a global world of oneness. So the other great thing about Wendy is that she does everything. She does everything. Did you do that, Barbara? The other thing about Wendy is that everything she does like awesomely. So she, of course, was her valedictorian, although they call it something else. So she gave the closing speech at the graduation, and it was on YouTube. So she sent it to me. And I just sat there kvelling. She's Jewish. I was kvelling. And so she gave the closing remarks. And one of the things she said was, she said, why did she want to be a nurse? And she asked that to a lot of her students, a lot of her fellow students. And the answer was because she wanted to be an agent of transition, an agent of transformation. She wanted to be the person standing in the moment when something bigger is happening. And that happens very often in health situations. And I got it. That's what I want to be. I want to be the person who gets to stand right there with you as you are getting that aha moment. And usually that aha moment comes in the form of something that doesn't look like an aha moment. It looks like something else, which is why you end up on my couch. Because there's something that needs to be known here. I want to be that person. I want to be the person that knows. I want to be the vessel that allows the knowing. And that's what she wrote, and I went, that's what I want. And then she wrote this. She said, going through this process, she said, it's made me feel like something that's larger than myself. What is in your life that makes you feel larger than yourself? What is it that you do? Where do you go? What do you have to create in order for you to feel larger than yourself? What is that thing? Because we teach that there is something larger than ourselves. It's called God. But it's what we are. And our job is to be so clear that that's who I am, that I start losing the perimeters of my selfness. And it just starts to absorb itself into everything else. Emma Curtis Hopkins talks about getting to that high place, and it's even in this song, that highest place. So, this largeness that I'm talking about, it's something that's larger than what I see, it's larger than what I feel, it's larger than what I know, and it's even larger than what I do. You and I, we are so much more than our conditions. We are so much more than Californians who live in the United States, who are part of this world. And I believe that's just scratching the surface because, truthfully, universally speaking, this planet is just so tiny in comparison to what's out there. So, I think what this did for me, getting this in the mail and getting it, first of all, I definitely want to have a tattoo of this somewhere that's not painful. I'll put it on Kevin. What a great idea. Kevin can get this tattoo and I can look at it. Perfect. You're a really nice congregation. You give good advice. It's just perfect. So, there is nothing except God. The second card says, safe and secure within your walls. This one down here, apparently this one they couldn't figure out. This one down here says, I love this one, guide children with kindness. And the last one says, your courage is recognized and honored. Your courage is recognized and honored. And I'm getting emotional because I didn't read that. And when I'm about to read my last quote, talk about serendipity. Talk about God just always knows what to say. And when I woke up this morning, I said, you know what, God? You got to figure this out today. Because I'm just like all over the map. I want to be all over the map. I want to be everywhere at once. And so here's my final quote. And it's Wendy's quote. Wendy Herrick, my friend. Her quote. She says, when you meet the moment, and the moment meets you, it requires tremendous courage. So, I'd like to close by saying, you have met the moment today, because this is the moment when we get to decide nothing but God. You have met the moment. The moment has met you. And what I know for you and about you is that you have the courage to move from this moment forward and never look back. Namaste.